What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse rants, no hate. So, DILLIAN White was being interviewed. It's part of an interview that I did, a video about Anthony Joshua going into real estate, and I mentioned some of the things that DILLIAN White said is all from the same interview. And one of the things that he said in the interviewer said, you've given your opinion on Anthony Joshua and why he lost and how he looked in certain fights, right? And he asked him, what was your take, against you versus Tyson Fury? And I'm glad that the guy asked that question. Not because he said something about Anthony Joshua, care less about that. It's the principle of what he said about another fighter. For you to speak so highly of yourself, right? And to talk so down on another person, for not looking good when you yourself look terrible. I mean, he got knocked out by Povetkin. He came back and he avenged that loss, but he got knocked out by Povetkin. And after he beat Povetkin, when he went on and he finally got the fight with Tyson Fury, he ended up saying that he wanted to fight for so long, and they had been giving him the runaround for so long, that fight night he just didn't have it. DILLIAN, anybody can say that. Anthony Joshua could say that same thing. Do you think that DILLIAN White would buy that? Oh, I just didn't have it came fight night? DILLIAN White just showed himself to be one-dimensional. In fact, look at the last two fights he had. Look at the fight he had with Franklin. Look at the fight he had after that. The thing was, people credit for him and Franklin for having a very good, close fight. Then they criticized Anthony Joshua for completely outclassing and outboxing Franklin. So it was just weird to me because, DILLIAN's last fight, he looked horrible. And the fact that he got knocked out by Tyson Fury, and I don't even think he landed a punch. I don't remember him landing a punch on Tyson Fury. So when he says that, it's like anytime a fighter loses, other fighters taking it and making it, they use it as an opportunity to talk trash about, a potential opponent. The reason why he has so much to say about AJ is because AJ beat him. He beat AJ in the amateurs, AJ beat him in the pros, knocked him out. And he wants his, revenge. He said he wanted to fight Wilder, and the guy asked him between Wilder and AJ, who would you rather fight? And he said he'd definitely fight AJ because he has a history with AJ. And he never fought Wilder because Wilder didn't want to fight him. Wilder, he called Wilder a coward and everything. We all know the story about what happened in the past as to why the fight didn't happen. Well, the real ones know. I'm not going into all of that. We all know what happened. But DILLIAN White, one thing I'm going to say about any fighter, it's really easy to talk trash about another fighter, especially when he looked down and you haven't looked any better. In fact, even looked just as bad. So when you really break it down, you got to look at fighters and understand something, right? Things happen in fights that we don't know about. Sometimes, listen, fighters do come to a fight injured. Fighters do get injured in a fight. Things do happen, okay? But, and I'm not talking about punishment from the opponent so much. I'm talking about freak accidents. But you have to look, just like, for example, when Caballero destroyed Frank Sanchez. I think somebody messaged me and told me that Frank Sanchez was injured in the fight or something. Something happened. Things happen, whatever. But just like, for example, AJ was favored to beat Dubois. He was also the underdog against Wallin. He was the underdog against Ngannou. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know who the favorite was between Caballero and Sanchez. Whatever that was, there was no real talk about that anyway, at all. But you can't take anybody lightly, man. The fans can talk all this trash, call the fighter a bum, he's this, he's that. That fighter might go in there and fight the fight of his life that night. And then all of a sudden, even if you win a rematch, that night you didn't win. So, you never know what's going to happen. We can have opinions, and we all have opinions. We can have a strong opinion based on the facts and reality of what we see. but you don't know what the next night brings, man. I mean, you just don't know. And, you know, when a fight happens, people go, I told you. You ain't tell us shit. You know, we can all assume something. We can all look at what looks more logical, and it can happen. Then there's times where it doesn't happen. So I'm looking at, you know, Dillian Whyte. I truly feel like Dillian Whyte's skills are deteriorating. I felt like that for a while now. And the reality that he fought Tyson Fury the way he did and didn't try to do anything different, and for him to say that, you know, he just didn't have it. Well, he got knocked out. You guys realize this, right? We all know this about Dillian Whyte. All 3 of his professional losses was the same exact punch, a fucking uppercut. He just, you understand what I mean? So, did he just not have it against Povetkin? Did he just not have it against AJ? Like he said against Fury? It's just one of those things, man, where I just feel like fighters talk too much a lot of times. Just people in general. I think there's times certain things you don't even need to talk about. You don't even need to, like, get into, because, you know, you may step into the ring and the very thing that you're, look what happened to you, it happens to you now. And, you know, the excuses doesn't matter. And in fact, between the 2 of them, you know, AJ and Dillian Whyte, Dillian has never became the type of star that AJ has become. So even when he turned the second fight down because he didn't feel like it was enough money, I mean, his career went the way it went. And on his own, you know, in the UK, he can make some noise. You know, he got some fans there, yeah. But overall, like, just him globally, he go anywhere, he's that guy, or he's the guy people feel like he's the one that everybody need to be, like, leery of. Nah, Dillian Whyte was never that guy. You know, and I gave Dillian Whyte his props as being a good fighter, you know, and wanting to fight. But at some point, things change in everybody's life, man, where sometimes, you know, it's just like you get to a certain point in life where you outgrow certain things, or you just lose the desire for certain things. And for Dillian Whyte, you know, he's definitely not, you know, he's another one that he talks a lot, and even to say he has the heart to go in there, okay, cool. Dillian's still trying to get bigger paydays as well, okay? He's still trying to get those lottery ticket fights. He's trying to put himself in a better position, but, like, at his age, he's the same age as AJ. You know, it's only so much you're going to do. You're not going to fight more when you get older. You're going to fight less, if anything. You know, you might be able to maintain, but Dillian Whyte, he's another guy that's like he's on the shelf, and he can say, you know, the same thing about himself. He either looks really good or really bad. He can say the same shit about himself when you think about it. Because against Povetkin, was he up on the scorecards? In my opinion, he was. Was he winning the fight? Yeah. And still got caught with that uppercut. Against Tyson Fury, he looked awful. He looked bad. Even when he fought Joseph Parker, he got the win. But it's like, he gets drops in fights. He gets dropped in fight. He doesn't, you know, Dillian Whyte doesn't go in there and just put on a masterclass performance. You know, he's just been in tough fights. And what people fail to realize about Dillian, the reason that he's been in a lot of tough fights is because Dillian doesn't have the boxing IQ to just take over a fight and just take it to where he can just outclass you and stay disciplined. Dillian will put himself in harm's way just for the sake of you know, landing a hard punch and you know, and yeah, he's been in some solid fights. Yes, he's been in some entertaining fights. But like I said, it's a reason for that. It's just like, you know, you see Ward Gotti, these are 2 warriors. It's going to be difficult for anybody to beat them. Nah. Stop. You saw what happened to Gotti when he got in there with Floyd. And all these excuses, of course, but yeah. Same thing when he fought De La Hoya. It's like when you step up in class, there's a difference. So, you know, Dillian Whyte, his resume speaks for itself, and he was fighting a lot of top guys, and you know, I give him credit for having the heart to go in there and fight. Win, lose, or draw, let's do it again. Dillian Whyte has always showed that. But he's another guy. Remember, you know, Martin Piccoli was basically following him all over the place. He's telling me, come upstairs, and all that. It's like, hey, listen, man, y'all know that's not how you make the money, right? So Dillian Whyte, it's not like he's in there beating, like, his last, you know, look at his last, just say 3 or 4 fights. It's not like he's in there beating top level guys, and him losing the Fury the way he did. You know, Dillian Whyte, for namesake, might find himself in a big fight again. possibly. We know that the WBC was blackballing him, but Dillian Whyte, he's a guy that I think, like, in terms of how good he was going to get, he's already done that. He's peaked already. He's peaked already, and he's not a disciplined type guy, man. If he has enough skill, if he has more skill, like when he beat Joseph Parker, he was better than Joseph Parker, right? It's just as simple as that. He was just better than Joseph Parker. But you see the way boxing works in the way of flip-flops. I told you guys in the last video, Joseph Parker, he went there, not only beat Deontay Wilder, but he destroyed him. And people are still making those bullshit excuses for Wilder. That, Wilder's not the same. Yeah, I told you guys, when he stepped up in competition, you can go back a couple of years ago. And I said, when he steps up in competition and people start to expose him, the first thing people are going to start saying is he's not the same guy. Or his age is going to be some excuse. He's not as good as y'all make him seem. That right hand is not going to always be enough. When he fought Zhang, you saw it. When he fought Parker, you saw it. Now, the fight before that was against Hellenius. First round knockout. And see, nobody was talking that bullshit then, right? But when he steps up in competition, y'all think it's just a fucking coincidence that Wilder gets his ass whooped. So, with all that being said, if you look at Joseph Parker's situation, he was a sacrificial lamb for Deontay Wilder. Wilder versus AJ was supposed to already happen long time ago, long time before that, okay? And basically, what ended up happening, they said if the fight don't happen, it's going to be because of AJ. And then AJ goes in there and destroys Wallin. And Wilder was so delusional, he was talking about, he thinking they still fighting. Like, what do you mean? You know what the terms were, right? Parker steps up, he wins. Parker, gets in there and he beats Zhang. He was on a 3-4 fight winning streak before that. Then he goes in there and he beats Zhang as well. Got dropped in there, got hurt by Zhang, but he got up. Zhang ran out of gas. Parker did what he had to do, and he came back and he won, after he got destroyed by Joe Joyce. And I feel like for Parker to stay busy, to come back and to not get himself in a bad position, he should rematch Joe Joyce. I think he'll beat Joe Joyce in the rematch. He should. Joe Joyce, he's finished. Joe Joyce is finished. But my point is, let's look at it. Joseph Parker destroys Deontay Wilder. Zhang destroys Deontay Wilder. But who are they trying to put in the title fight at Bridgerweight? Deontay Wilder. Why are they trying to avoid putting Zhang or Parker in a title fight? You see, that's the politics and the bullshit about boxing I don't like. And even Turkey Ali Sheik, you got to look at him and question him for that bullshit too, because they fought on his card. All those fights were on his card with Parker, against Wilder and against Zhang. That was on his card. So why is Parker being pushed aside? This is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, that's the politics I'm saying, and for a guy like Dillian Whyte, who he's just trying to make some noise to get himself back in the mix, because right now, man, Dillian Whyte is irrelevant in terms of the heavyweight title scene and like what's going on. Nobody's bringing up Dillian Whyte's name for anything. So he's going to say whatever he can about whoever he can to try to make some noise. Guys like Jarrell Miller, a guy like Martin McCauley, who is out here making noise, and people don't want to fight this guy. Dillian's he don't really want to fight those guys, man. He's hoping he can land something with a bigger name, somebody that just has more impact in their name, and that he'll find himself, in another huge payday. But Dillian Whyte, from where he goes from here on, I don't know. And the fact of the matter is, right, for Anthony Joshua to step away, don't know how long this is going to be. Don't know if he's actually going to wind up retiring. Who knows? Because coming back and you're not dedicated can be disastrous. Well, only time will tell. But for a guy like Dillian, why waste time talking about AJ when AJ stepped away from boxing? You should be trying to really get your name out there to get in another big fight if you really want it. See, this is the thing, what I'm saying. Remember after he got knocked out by Tyson Fury, the very next video he made the very next day was him in the car driving. He looks at the camera and just smiled. That was that. So it's like, man, you went in there and got knocked out. You smiling in the camera like, yeah, I just made a nice big payday. We know about the $8 million he made, which because he went and got the extra couple million for what they were trying to give him in the first place. He wound up getting 8. I think they were trying to give him 5 or 6. I think they were trying to give him 5, and he wound up getting 8, something like that. But you know, man, it's like I said, man, when these guys get a certain age, they get to a certain point in their life where they're doing the same training, same thing every single day, and you know, the same routines, and they're not getting certain fights. You know, like being in tough fights versus being in championship fights are two different things. And you know, when I look at Dillian White, like I said, man, I feel like his skills are deteriorating. I think he just got more attitude. You know, I think he has the attitude and the ego to want to fight, but he's not the same as a fighter. You can see the way Dillian White fights, and I always laughed at how he got that thing with his legs that he does, man, the little weird stutter that he does with his legs. Dillian White is a guy to me that I'm not gonna call him a gatekeeper, but he's one of those guys that he's good enough to be in entertaining fights, but now you listen to him talk, he still talk like he's that same guy, but you can clearly see that he's not. So I don't know what's next for Dillian White, man. What's going on? That last fight that he had in that little looked like a little elementary school, a lunchroom or something. I don't know what the hell that little building they were in, but you know, it's like, you know, at some point, man, you got to start thinking outside the box. And who's next for him? I don't know, man. You know, let him fight somebody like Fabio Wardley instead of Wardley versus Dubois, man. I mean, Wardley did what he did, man, but like I would rather see, you know, Joseph Parker personally, or you know, Zhang get that shot. And as far as Dubois and AJ go, well, I can say this about Dillian White. You see, when Dubois was saying he wanted to fight White, well, what did Dillian White's brother say? What did Dean White say? Come on, man, it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful. Well, AJ wound up fighting the guy that you avoided. And basically, he's also avoiding Martin Bacoli. So if Dillian White keeps running his mouth and say a guy like Bacoli starts calling his name even more and more, what excuse is he going to have to not fight Bacoli? I mean, and it's not like his fight with Fury was competitive. He just got destroyed and got knocked out, and it looked like Fury was playing around in it. It didn't even like Fury. It didn't even like a sparring match. It like Fury was just playing. Like when you got your son in there, he literally you just throwing punches. You tell him to move your head, all right, duck, and stuff. That it just looked like he was in there playing. It didn't. That was like probably the easiest fight that Tyson Fury ever had. And to say that he wanted the shot for so long that by the time he got it, he just didn't have it that night. Come on, man. Well, you shouldn't have gotten in the ring then. And the fact of the matter is, you know, like I said, it's always easier to criticize another guy. And it's one thing even coming from someone who backs up everything they say versus someone talking shit but look just as terrible in different fights and against lesser opponents. So it is what it is. But anyway, I don't know, man. Dillian White, AJ, all these guys, they're getting older, man. You know, 34, 35 now. So how much longer they're going to stick around, don't know. But one opponent nobody can beat is Father Time. So we'll see what happens with Dillian. Does Dillian land a big fight with someone? And not only that, do you see Dillian White even winning another top-level fight with anybody right now that's top level? Talk to me in the comment section, y'all. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all on the next video.